In the modern workplace, leadership is often associated with things like strategic planning, decision making, driving results. Now, while these are obviously critical aspects of leadership, there is another often overlooked component that I think is just equally essential. It's the simple act of walking the floors. Let's discuss.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas.
Hey, welcome to the Ask Denis episode. This is a freestyle episode where I'm asked a question by our listeners, or I share my thoughts, experiences, and insights from working with many leaders around the globe. Hey, listeners, in the modern workplace, leadership is often associated with things like strategic planning and decision making and driving results. They are quite critical aspects of leadership, but as I've said in my opening, there is often an overlooked component that I think is equally essential, and that is the simple act of walking the floors. I've talked to leaders about this quite a bit in relation to them walking the floor, because this practice actually involves being physically present, speaking with people, getting to know them, and being visible. And that really is important in being an effective leader. But it also reinforces the idea that people don't care about you as a leader until they know that you care about them. Now, some of you may be thinking, but wait, Denis, we work in a hybrid or a work from home type of environment nowadays. Yeah, I get it. But what happens when your team is spread across different locations or is working remotely, in other words, from home? That essence of walking the floors can and must extend not only from where you are in a present, like physical kind of situation, but it must extend into the virtual world as well. So throughout today's episode, when I mention physical presence or being there, walking the floors, I'm talking about both physical and virtual scenarios. So physical is obvious. You're walking there, you're going to people's desks and seeing them, saying hi, and maybe asking them questions about them, what they're working on, things like that. Virtually, you can always ping them on Teams, how's it going, things like that, or you can get onto a quick Teams call with them and so forth. But I find it's really important to do both. Now, I've been very good at doing both physically and also virtually as well. In fact, today, out of the corporate world, but in my own business, I still do that with people. Team, it's really important. Listeners, it's fantastic if you can do it, but if you do it really well. Why? Because you need to build the relationships with people going forward. So the thing here is that, as I said before, that we need to talk about different examples. So, as an example, if I have a team around the world, and in fact, my graphic designers or my production team for this podcast, they're around the world, but I will touch base every now and then. How's it going? Where are things at? What's going on in your world? What work are you working on? In the corporate world, you could do that too. I used to do it. I used to use Teams to be able to do it and actually reach out to people. And I used probably other tools as well that we had in those days, which was a lot easier to connect with people. But when I was doing it physically, when I was present either in New Zealand or I was in another office around the world, I would still do it. 15 minutes every morning, 15 minutes late afternoon. Interesting when you walk around the office after 5 p.m., because in New Zealand, that's when people will work up to. But if you walk around after 5 p.m., it's actually interesting to see who's still there in the office, who's still working, and the conversations you can actually have. But I would actually touch people, and I don't mean physically touch them, but I would actually get together, say hi, but I would try to go to different floors and see different people, because you can't just keep going to the same people, right? Because others around are going, what about me? How come he doesn't talk to me, and so forth. you want to go around and talk to as many people. Leadership is not just about directing from the top. It's about engaging with your team on the ground level, right? So it's those people who are out there and the cold face, as I call it, people are actually out there doing things to build your organization or their organization, but also just to help things move along. The thing here for me is that if you can reach out to as many people as you can, that's the important thing about it. Because if you do make the effort to walk the floors, you demonstrate your commitment to people who make up your organization. The whole presence of actually being in front of people, talking to them, allows you as a leader to break down barriers that actually often exist because of hierarchy or org structures and things like that. Now, being visible and approachable, right? So that's the key, because you are approachable. You're going to start sending a powerful message that are not just about being distant figures issuing commands, or you're on the 10th floor in your ivory tower, but you actually are really interested, being genuine about it, but interested in the well-being and success of your employees. Because you see, if you can walk the floors, that starts to allow you as a leader a great opportunity to build personal relationships with the team members, the employees. And the relationship is going to be built on the foundation of trust. Trust is massive, and which is essential for any team to function effectively. So when leaders take the time to engage in meaningful conversation with their employees, they'll show that they care about them as individuals, that they're not just a cog in the organizational machine or a number on a spreadsheet. So that personal connection fosters a sense of belonging and loyalty, which then can lead to higher levels of motivation and job satisfaction. Now, being on the floor, once again, remember, that's either physically or virtually, allows you as a leader to gain first-hand insight into the day-to-day operations of your organization. It's easy to become disconnected from the realities of the workplace when you spend most of your time in meetings or behind a desk. By walking the floors, you as a leader can see for yourself what's working well and what might be the challenges. So you get that direct observation, and it's valuable. In fact, it's invaluable to help you make informed decisions and maybe implementing some changes that are quite, beneficial to the organization. Communication is the lifeblood of any organization. It's the lifeblood of any successful leader. And walking the floors is an excellent way to enhance it. When leaders are visible and approachable, the employees are more than likely, the team members are more than likely to share their thoughts, ideas, and concerns. Now, it may not happen within the first 2 minutes, but as you keep doing this on a consistent basis, people will start to open and share with you. That's the open line of communication can actually lead to innovative solutions. People may have some ideas or things that may have not been shared through their leadership. But as employees on the front lines often have unique perspectives that may not be visible from those leaders at higher levels. It's amazing what you can learn from people within your organization. So by actively listening to these employees, you're going to start to demonstrate the value that you value the employees' input, which then will lead to more collaborative and inclusive workplace culture. So you get it? The more you'll share with people, the more you're with people, the more you get to know you. The thing is, they're going to share more with you going forward. Leaders who walk the floor are leaders who are leading by example. They are showing their team that no task is too small and that every role in the organization is important. That humility can inspire employees to take greater pride in their work, to follow the leader's example and being engaged and proactive. When employees see their leaders taking the time to understand their work their challenges, they are more than likely going to feel valued and respected. So ultimately, the practice of walking the floors is about you showing that you care. Now, you have to be realistic with it, authentic with it. People are more likely to be influenced by and to follow their leaders who demonstrate that genuine concern for their well-being. If you can remember names, that's another great way. But if also you can remember their wife's or husband or partner's name, or their children's names, or what they were how did that course that you went on, or how did your weekend go, and you said that you were going to go and do this, how was it? If you can remember those things, it's actually really important. Because when employees know that their leader cares about them, they are more than likely to care about the leader's vision and the goals of the organization. So if I call it the mutual care, that starts to create a strong, cohesive team and is capable of achieving some great things. So we're in a world where leadership is often equated with power and authority. It's important to remember that true leadership is about connection and care. So walking the floors, speaking with the people, getting to know them, being visible are simple yet powerful actions that can transform a leader's relationship with their team and their organization. By showing that you care, you'll start to earn the trust and the respect of your employees, and in turn, inspire them to care about the organization's success. Now remember, people don't care about you as a leader until they know that you care about them. So take time to walk the floors and show them that you do care about them and you are interested in them and what they're doing, which will be a great thing. Okay, listeners, your call to action this week is to download the 10 Ways to Lead in Today's World. That document is available by you clicking on the show notes where you're listening to this podcast. Review the document. There's 10 main themes for you to look at and 42 strategic insights. Hey, listeners, that's it for this episode. It's always a pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the Leadership is Changing podcast. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.